We are basically programmed to think of microbes, bacteria, viruses, fungi as the bad guys. We think of them purely as disease-causing villains that we constantly need to scrub away and sanitize. But I want to throw a question your way right off the bat. Are all bacteria actually our enemies? Because what if I told you that without these microscopic organisms, modern human life as we know it would literally come to a grinding halt? Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so excited to dive into this material with you. We're going to flip the script on everything you thought you knew about germs. Today, we're looking at microbes not as foes, but as our invisible allies. We are going to explore this incredible hidden world of microscopic powerhouses that secretly run our daily lives. All right, here is our roadmap for the Explainer. 1. Friend or foe. 2. Microscopic magicians of the kitchen. 3. Industry and lifesavers. 4. The city's cleaning system. And finally, number 5, natural protectors of farming. Let's jump into section 1, friend or foe. Seriously, how can something so incredibly small have such a massive life or death impact on us? Well, first, the sheer scale we are dealing with here is just mind-boggling. Microbes are measured in micrometers. That's 10 to the power of -6 meters. They are completely invisible to the naked eye. Yet, when scientists grow them in a lab, they form these massive visible colonies of millions, sometimes tens of millions. And yeah, while it's true some can make us sick, the vast majority are absolutely vital. I mean, without the gut microbiota living in your stomach right now, you wouldn't be able to digest your dinner. Moving on to section 2, microscopic magicians of the kitchen. Let's zoom in on how we interact with these tiny allies every single day, right inside our own homes. Think about how we turn regular milk into curd or yogurt. How does that actually happen? It's all thanks to lactic acid bacteria, primarily lactobacillus. When you add a tiny bit of starter to milk, you're dropping in millions of these bacteria. These microscopic magicians immediately get to work coagulating and partially digesting the milk proteins. So not only does the curd become way easier for your stomach to process, but the bacteria actually boost its nutritional value by increasing vitamin B12, all while actively protecting your gut from harmful disease-causing microbes. And the dual power of a single microbe can be pretty incredible. Take good old yeast, or if we're being scientific, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. In your kitchen, it's baker's yeast. It ferments dough, releases carbon dioxide, and gives bread that amazing puffed-up texture. But take that exact same organism into an industrial factory, and it becomes brewer's yeast. It drives alcoholic fermentation for massive global beverage industries, creating everything from lower alcohol wine and beer without distillation to high-proof whiskey, brandy, and rum with distillation. Honestly, so many of our culinary traditions are essentially ancient, uncredited team-ups with bacteria and fungi. For example, the traditional South Indian drink toddy is made entirely by fermenting palm sap. Or think about Swiss cheese. You know those iconic large holes in a block of Swiss? Those are actually massive pockets of carbon dioxide produced by a very specific, hard-working bacteria called Propionibacterium shermanii. Section 3. Industry and lifesavers. Now we're expanding our scale, from our kitchen countertops to massive industrial factories and medical labs. To produce these microbial miracles for the entire world, we can't exactly use kitchen pots and pans, right? We use industrial fermenters. Picture these massive vessels, kind of like giant rooftop water heaters, holding anywhere from 100 to 1,000 liters. By growing microbes on this commercial scale, we get the unit economics we need to make life-saving chemicals super affordable and accessible for everyone. And this brings us to probably the most famous industrial product of a microbe ever, the world's first antibiotic. It all started when Alexander Fleming discovered that a fungus, Penicillium notatum, was naturally killing bacteria. But it took scientists Chain and Florey to really step in and unlock its full potential, figuring out how to mass produce it without contamination. This biological alliance saved countless lives during World War II, and it earned all 3 men the Nobel Prize in 1945. Recognizing a microscopic ally literally changed human medicine forever. Beyond medicine, certain microbes naturally produce the very acids we use across various industries every single day. We basically hired them as microscopic chemical engineers. For instance, the fungus Aspergillus niger churns out citric acid. The bacteria Acetobacter aceti gives us acetic acid. Clostridium butylicum produces butyric acid, and good old lactobacillus gives us lactic acid. And this gets even more amazing when we look at critical, life-saving bioactive molecules. Take streptokinase, which comes from Streptococcus bacteria. It acts as a literal clot buster for heart attack patients, dissolving blockages and saving failing hearts. Or cyclosporin A, derived from the Trichoderma polysporum fungus, which suppresses the immune system so patients' bodies don't reject newly transplanted organs. And statins, produced by the yeast Moniscus purpureus, safely lower blood cholesterol. These aren't just industrial chemicals, they are absolute biological gifts. All right, Section 4, the city's cleaning system. How do we deal with the massive human problem of municipal waste? The answer, once again, is a genius biological solution. If we just dumped our untreated sewage into rivers, it would cause catastrophic pollution and disease. So we treat it in a brilliant 3-step battleground at a sewage treatment plant. First, the primary treatment. We physically filter out large debris and let the grit settle. But the real magic happens in steps 2 and 3. We pump air into massive tanks so oxygen-loving aerobic microbes can literally eat the invisible organic waste. Then, in step 3, we cut off the air in a sludge digester and introduce anaerobic bacteria to consume those first microbes. We are essentially pitting different types of microbes against each other to purify our water. To understand how efficient this is, you need to know about flocks. Flocks are basically our biological cleanup crews. They are massive, mesh-like structures made of aerobic bacteria clinging to fungal filaments. When we pump air into the sewage, these flocks eagerly grow and multiply by devouring the organic toxins right out of the water. So, how do we know when the water is actually clean? We measure what's called the BOD, or biochemical oxygen demand. A high BOD means bacteria are demanding lots of oxygen because there's a ton of organic waste for them to eat. But as the flocks consume that waste, the oxygen demand drops. Therefore, a lower BOD is our scientific indicator that the water is finally clean and safe to release into rivers. And here is one of the coolest parts, what I like to call the biogas bonus, strongly promoted by agencies like IARI and KVIC. When certain anaerobic bacteria, specifically methanogens, digest organic waste like cow dung without oxygen, they produce a mixture of gases, primarily methane, along with some CO2 and H2S. In rural areas, this is an absolute game changer. It transforms dangerous waste directly into free, usable energy for cooking and lighting. Plus, the leftover spent slurry becomes an incredibly rich organic biofertilizer for crops. It is a brilliant closed-loop system with zero loss. Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Natural Protectors of Farming. Let's take our final leap in scale and look at how microbes protect our entire global food supply. For decades, our go-to solution was just spraying toxic, indiscriminate chemicals to kill crop pests, which, unfortunately, also killed helpful insects and damaged the ecosystem. Now, we're shifting to biocontrol, essentially using nature's own assassins. We use ladybird beetles to naturally hunt down crop-destroying aphids. Dragonflies are brought in to control mosquitoes. And we even use highly specific viruses, like baculoviruses. Because they are narrow-spectrum, they target and eliminate specific pests perfectly, while leaving beneficial insects completely unharmed. It's a total ecological win-win. And then there's the ultimate microscopic assassin, Bacillus thuringiensis, or just BT for short. This bacteria is revolutionary. When a pest insect tries to eat a crop that's been treated with BT spores, the bacteria react inside the insect's gut, perforating its intestines and causing death. It is precisely fatal to the pest, but 100% safe for the plant, the soil, and for us. Finally, we have biofertilizers. Look at these incredible underground partnerships. Rhizobium bacteria associate with leguminous plant roots to pull much-needed nitrogen straight from the atmosphere. Cyanobacteria, like Anabina and nostoc, do the same nitrogen-fixing job in both aquatic and terrestrial soils. And mycorrhiza, which is a fungal association with plant roots, massively increases the surface area so the plant can absorb vital phosphorus. They act as the ultimate natural fertilizers, ensuring our food supply thrives without relying on synthetic chemicals. So I want to leave you with this final thought. We started out today by asking if all bacteria are our enemies, but look at what we've just uncovered. From making our food digestible, to brewing life-saving medicines, to purifying the very water we drink, and naturally protecting the crops that feed the world. If we were to suddenly remove these invisible allies from our kitchens, our hospitals, our city sewers, and our farms, would modern human life even exist? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep that curiosity alive.